wicked them all. Did he wicked them all? Me say how we are gonna do it. Oh yes, yes, me say how we are gonna do it. Oh yes, now Jesus, boy, watch out, watch out. Now worry about the wicked them now. Now worry about the wicked them. Tell them neighbor, come. Now worry when they talk about you. Now worry when they tell life on you. Now worry if they walk over their pan you. Now worry what them say about you. Just catch it on the balance wheel. 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 Jesus and your balance. Boy, trouble. Watch out. Watch you wicked them all. Say they wicked them all. And go now. Hey. Watch you wicked them all. Say they wicked them all. And go now. We say how we are gonna do it. Boy, ready? Ready? Boy, we say how we are gonna do it. Yes. Boy, sit down there. Just catch it on the balance wheel. 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 Jesus and your balance.
So why you come to me with that foolishness, you know? You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right stand that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Happy Tuesday to those in television land. Happy Tuesday to our silent supporters. Happy Tuesday to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in as usual. Really appreciate each and everyone continued support. Remember, guys, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. It will be greatly appreciated. And remember, the membership is still very active. Big shout out to all our channel members. Really appreciate extra support from you guys. Thank you so much. All right, so tonight's topic is electromagnetic warp prep test in the question form with your host Mystic Sensation, which is Baron and Anne-Marie. We also have Melting Pot in the building, and we will be joined by Mr. Rattigan and Daisy shortly. Let me just quickly welcome those in the chat. Dorothy McCoy, Richard Reed, Bloomy Coleman, Beverly, Laverne, Amazing Joy, Damian Goss, Patel Cruikshank, Sharon Ricketts, Rennie Swaby, Peter Aston, Devon Fletcher, Rosa Sonia Graham, Lorraine Taylor, Barbara Giwa, Evelyn Wood, Joan Allen, Azagad, Angela Hastings, Elisa Wood, FCB Prendy, Norma Barkley, Dwight Tyndale, blessings, Anne-Marie McDonald, blessings, welcome each and every one. And also a special shout out to all our moderators. Cultural icon, bless up yourself. Thank you so much. Without any delay, I am going to hand over to Baron.
All right. Thank you for that, Lady Mystic. Right. I want to say, okay, coming from, right, myself, right, and of course the entire team, we are saying, thanks again to Make It Mystic Sensation. We really appreciate the support that we are getting, wonderful support, and we really appreciate it. Right, tonight we are going to delve into some very serious issues. And if you notice the thumbnail speak of electromagnetic warfare tests, and that has to deal with the all-island blackout, right, in Jamaica. We are going to definitely get into the detail. We have a lot of conspiracy theory around the issue, but what we are going to present tonight, we'll be presenting the facts, right, as it relates to the source of that blackout, and we are going to show the evidence, right? And, we have done our research that cannot be disputed. So we have that for you. Of course, we have to touch, right, Mark Golding's statutory declaration. We are going to get in depth with that as well. And we're going to talk about bureaucracy manipulation as we see the Troy Bridge, right, being open, and, the reason for it to delay quite, some, grave cause of concern based on what the Prime Minister giving the reasons why it was delayed. So we are going to get also into that. And of course, we'll be get into NARA, right, where Major Anthony Anderson is concerned. So we have some serious topics that, of course, we are going to discuss. Now I'll be, asking the panel to be mindful in terms of, their lengthiness in the time being taken, because we want to make sure we cover all the subject matters, right, for you. So we want to, be brief and be specific to the subject matter at hand. Now, without any delay, let me just have Brother Melting Pot, right, meet and greet his people as usual. Brother Melting Pot, come forward.
Blessings. Greetings and blessings to one and all. Tonight to the Mystic Sensation Live, the Tuesday night edition as usual. What is our topic for discussion? First, I want to big up the host, Sir Lord Byron, and our wonderful technical director, Lady Anne-Marie, alongside the rest of panelists them that will be joining shortly. Yeah, and to everyone in the chat, and to my family down in the ground zero, enough love and respect same way. And to all the fans in the UK, yeah, United States and Canada, and places like Barbados, big up Sister Winnie as usual, yeah. And to all blood and fire comrades around the world, enough respect. And to the 2 Milites them, big up same way, one umbrella greetings for you all tonight. Enough love and respect, Melting Pot. Bless.
All right, well said, Melting Pot. Well said. Love it. Great start right there. Now, Jamaica, we cannot go through unless, of course, we get into a portion of Parliament today with Andrea Perkins I am telling you, the representation was so excellent, right? As she articulate the point, right? Telling Jamaica the exploitation being done as it relates to tourism, that tourism pie, that we are not getting the benefit that we ought to get. And as she articulate how crony capitalists had taken over, right, and only few benefit. When you look and see, I mean, $4.8 billion coming from the tourism sector, and as it relates to the people who are employed by the tourism sector, meager, particularly housekeepers and bellmen and dining room, and those persons who are really carrying out the task, they are not getting anything at all more than I would recognize as a stipend paid package. Now, when you look in comparison of Barbados is not generating, as it relates to the amount of foreign currency that Barbados is generating from tourism, which is just merely roughly about $1 billion, Bajan dollars. And in comparison to us, we are, generating over $4.8 billion. However, Barbados is able to treat their staff, their housekeepers, their, bellman, dining room persons, giving them roughly 400%, over Jamaicans who are doing some excellent service, but yet not getting anything. And you wonder why Barbados, a smaller country than Jamaica, where their tourism is not doing as strong as us, but they treat their worker, very respectful in comparison to us, treating our workers, our hotel workers, with such blatant disregards. So that is not fair. And this is what, Andrea Perkis, had articulated, the exploitation, of the Jamaican people via the tourism. Let me just take the time in terms of bigging up Sister Maria to make it on the panel. Sister Maria, welcome. We want to just have you meet and greet your people, Sister Maria. Bless up yourself.
Greetings, my brother. How is my brother? Melting pot, what going? Anne-Marie, greetings, my sister. How are you, my love? And I hope you're having a wonderful week. And to everybody in the chat, a blessed Tuesday evening. And wagwan. Big up on yourself. Much respect and not love.
Bless yourself, Sister Maria. Okay, so as I said, we are not going to begin our show and we don't get like 15 or 20 minutes into Parliament to show you how Andrea Perkis delivered the goods for us as it relates to the political representation. What a lady. I am telling you that for this week, she will be ringing on every thumbnail as it relates to her excellent performance. We can't wait. Let us bite into that arc. Okay, before we bite into that, Brother Rattigan, okay, Brother Rattigan is on the panel. So we are not going to delay, Brother Rattigan is just doing his thing. So let us bite into the Parliament as it relates to delivery.
Yes, my sister.
Okay, let us just have Brother Rattigan meet and greet, and then we get back into Parliament. Brother Rattigan, let me give you the opportunity. Look here. No, man, you look younger, man. Hold on there. You're well rested. You're well rested, yes. All right. You know what? Let me give you the opportunity to meet and greet your people, Brother Rattigan.
Yes, one and all, good evening. Blessings. Sister, bless up yourself, Lady Anne-Marie.
Yeah, my brother.
And of course, the man right us up at the top, this a melting pot. Bless up, bless in a while, but I'm so glad to be here. And as I've always said, if it's Tuesday night, it's mystic. So
all right. Thank you for that, Brother Rattigan. And I am glad that you're telling them, Now, this is where the buck stopped from Brother Rattigan on Tuesdays. Now, without any delay, let us get into Sister Andrea Perkes. What a delivery, what an excellent performance, articulating the exploitation within the hotel industry.
It is from this place of gratitude and with a full weight of accountability that history demands that I now turn to the urgent matters before us. Tourism is not an abstraction in Jamaica. It is the school fees, it is the mortgage, it is the food on the table. And today, for too many Jamaicans, it is the anxiety of waiting for a hotel that has not reopened, for a paycheck that has not come. Tourism is Jamaica's largest foreign exchange earner and one of our most people-intensive industries. Yet those people are in crisis. This government has mastered the art of press release. It has not mastered the art of governance. This is not a celebration, Madam Speaker. It is an accountability audit. Today, I will examine the full tourism ecosystem from the skies to the roads, from the grand resort to the small hotel. I will open the books on what goes into Jamaica's tourism pie, how it is being baked, who is getting the lion's share, and who is being left to fight for the crumbs. We will ask the question the minister has not answered, and we will present the framework Jamaica needs. Madam Speaker, the government loves the headline. Jamaica welcomed 4.27 million visitors in 2024, generating approximately $4.35 billion US dollars. These numbers are impressive. They reflect hard work across the industry. Madam Speaker, numbers don't bleed, workers do. Behind every reported statistic is a workforce in distress and a local business sector under siege. So let us examine what these government numbers actually tell us and what they are designed to conceal. Madam Speaker, only 9 days ago, the Minister of Tourism was not in this chamber. He was not in his constituency or meeting hospitality workers in month 9 without pay. Instead, Madam Speaker, he was in the Kimberly Hotel in New York City, making yet another grand announcement. In the next 10 years, 10 million visitors, 10 billion US dollars, a new acronym, a new press release, a new headline, likely another missed target. And not to mention of why full hotel workers, the reopening of the hotels are still slated for 2027. Hurricane Melissa exposed the fragility beneath brochures. The minister speaks of detailed assessments. Workers speak of 9 months without pay. The gap between ministerial announcement and lived reality has never been wider. Madam Speaker, as someone who has worked directly in the trenches of tourism ecosystem, I do not view tourism as a set of abstract macroeconomic figures. I do not view it as a collection of glossy press releases or international billboard campaigns. No, Madam Speaker. Tourism is our pie, our very, very important pie. It is an economic asset so vital to our national survival, so deeply funded by the sweat and taxes of our citizens, that every single Jamaican deserves to fully understand what goes into this pie, how it is being baked, its current condition, and most importantly, how it is being shared. To understand this pie, we must first look at its core ingredients. Tourism is fundamentally defined as a travel and stay of people outside their home destinations. and the activities they engage in. Therefore, our complete Jamaican tourism pie requires specific, deeply interconnected ingredients. Madam Speaker, the ingredients include the travel component, which rely primarily on international airlift, but also our cruise shipping gateways, the accommodations, ranging from the multinational all-inclusive resorts to our local boutique hotels, guest houses, and community short-term rentals, such as Airbnbs. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, the culture and entertainment, the unique experiences, our world-class music, heritage, our food, and the general way of life that draw people to our shores. Fourthly, Madam Speaker, one must not forget the production linkages, the local farmers, manufacturing plants, and our entrepreneurs in the creative sector. Finally, Madam Speaker, the human capital, the foundational bedrock of the entire operation is the moment of truth when our visitors interact with our hospitality workers, transport providers, our Juta, Jekyll, and Maxi drivers, our craft vendors. Madam Speaker, the linkages agenda was built on a simple premise. Jamaican tourism should generate Jamaican prosperity. The evidence before this House today shows that this premise has not been fulfilled. Madam Speaker, as far back as 2016, Minister Bartlett used what he termed as a tremendous opportunity for trade that could be as high as 56 billion annually, and that's Jamaican dollars for processed foods, 5.3 billion for fruits, and 1.6 billion for vegetables. Madam Speaker, the minister stated that annual leakage in the manufacturing sector is estimated at some $65.4 billion as the total annual expenditure by the tourism sector on manufactured foods. Madam Speaker, the minister committed to working closely to local suppliers to help them overcome the constraints that may be preventing them from benefiting from formal tourism sector, such as inability to supply in large quantities, lack of consistency of supplies, and poor quality of products. He went on, Madam Speaker, promised that his primary objective was to reduce imports and plug the economic leakage. Madam Speaker, that was a decade ago. That must be the 10 he was talking about at Kimberly Hotel in New York City. Far from reducing the leakage, the demand for fruits and vegetables in our sector has exploded to a staggering 67 billion Jamaican dollars, and processed foods have shattered all barriers to hit $115 billion and are still being imported from overseas wholesalers. Madam Speaker, foreign-owned mega resorts imports its fruits and processed meats from overseas wholesalers, while hard-working farmers in St. Elizabeth, in Hanover, watch their crops rot in the field. The very imports he specifically named and promised to eliminate have skyrocketed under his watch. Madam Speaker, our national food import bill has hit an all-time record high, $1.46 billion US. He promised to fix the leakage. The leakage is now a flood. Then 10 years, one promise, zero results. Madam Speaker, Minister of Tourism announced strategy to grow the tourism industry with a 5-pillar plan. Chief among this was tapping into new markets, and the multiple destinations have lamented on Jamaica's overdependence on North America. In 2019, COVID-19 pandemic, he highlighted one basket vulnerability. His words, this, Madam Speaker, we cannot put all our eggs in one basket. of North America. If that market sneezes, Jamaica catches pneumonia. True economic resilience demands that we open direct paths to the south and across the Atlantic. Again, in 2022, Minister highlighted, and I quote, our high dependence on, the Minister highlighted in 2022, our high dependence on source markets like the US and Canada leaves us entirely at the mercy of external border decisions, flights cancellations, and foreign health advisories. Diversification is no longer an option. His words, not mine. It is a matter of survival. Madam Speaker, let me repeat and emphasize. The Minister said diversification is no longer an option. It is a matter of survival. Again in 2024, Madam Speaker, the Minister reiterated that we're moving to break historically singular reliance by opening the Middle Eastern and African markets. We need visitors whose travel habits are decoupled from the economic cycles of the United States. Madam Speaker, the Minister speaks eloquently about the tourism linkages network, yet under his watch, international financial benchmarks reveal a scandalous reality. Yet under his watch, linkage has become a euphemism for massive economic leakage. For every single dollar spent in an all-inclusive tourist, in an all-inclusive hotel in Jamaica, up to 70 cents leaks straight back out of our economy to the overseas travel agents, foreign-owned mega airlines, and international supply chains. Every single dollar earned in this sector leaves Jamaica immediately. It does not circulate. It does not multiply. It takes an immediate U-turn back across our borders. Madam Speaker, speaking of the Middle East, in 2022, he went to Riyadh and Dubai, promising a Middle Eastern corridor. By the end of 2025, the arrival count was a mere net increase of 330 people. Madam Speaker, what about Africa? The Minister went to Nigeria in 2021, staged a massive photo opportunity, and promised a historic gateway. What is the net increase? By the end of 2025, the arrival count was 1,440,000. A net growth exactly 320 people over his baseline, while his visits to India, and India is one of the largest, fastest growing countries in the world, only produce a maga 360% increase. In Jamaica, there is a saying that talk is cheap. That is costing us. Madam Speaker, there is a concept in the Ministry of Tourism that is termed seat support, which is merely a disguise for flights coming into Jamaica. Since 2015, this administration has spent $2.86 billion on seat support. Madam Speaker, it would be good if the Minister could report to this Parliament on the amount spent on achieving less than half of the percent of our visitor arrival. Madam Speaker, despite the multiple utterances for the importance of diversification, what has happened to our primary market in the meantime? In 2017, the United States accounted for 64% of our total stopover arrivals. By the end of 2025, our reliance on the US market had ballooned to 71%. Combined with Canada, North America now commands a staggering 84% of our entire market. Madam Speaker, things have not gotten worse, but much worse. The minister spent billions of taxpayers' dollars flying across the world to find new ingredients And his own Jamaica Tourist Board statistics show he has made the Jamaican tourism pie more vulnerable to a single external economy that it was a decade ago. Madam Speaker, the minister is completely silent on our cruise shipping sector because the reality is an absolute embarrassment to this administration. He has made statements claiming that the cruise sector lives up to expectations, but the only expectation that has been met is his expectation that nobody would check the math. Let us unmask the numbers. In 2019, before the pandemic, Jamaica welcomed 1,544,233 cruise passengers to our shores. That was 2019. Fast forward to the end of 2025. Jamaica finished the year welcoming 1.1 million, 361,000 cruise passengers. Madam Speaker, our cruise sector has declined. Madam Speaker, our cruise sector has declined by 28% compared to 7 years ago. Madam Speaker, we're facing a massive shortage, nearly 438,000 visitors who are completely missing from our ports. Madam Speaker, I seek protection. Let me reiterate, Madam Speaker.
Members, please allow the members.
Chest up my time. Madam Speaker.
Okay, all right. Let us take it away because
Shortage.
we think we have as much where that is concerned, right? As she articulates the exploitation of the tourism industry. She did an awesome job in highlighting the weakness of the sector and the manipulation as it relates to crony capitalists. The employees within the tourism sector, right, not getting the benefit, meager salary, and as earlier that I made mention of Barbados, right, only generating, $1 billion, right, annually in comparison to Jamaica, that is generating over $4.5 billion. Yet the Barbados employee has been treated like 400%, right, over the Jamaican, employees, particularly the housekeeping and so forth. Now she speak about the farmers, right, not getting a fair deal, right, where the system itself importing, right, green produce, right, giving farmer a raw deal, right. The farmers are not getting their produce, right, to the hotel sectors, right, because you have different mediums of carrying it in, and the farmers are getting a raw deal. She go back and she talk about the diversification, right, of our market, right, the limitation within that in terms of we are not able to diverse. We are depending on Canada and depending on USA. And so she's talking about, go beyond the horizon, right? The African market, the Asian market, and you name it, in terms of expanding. She talk about, PR over economic reality, the promises, but no delivery coming from Edmund Bartlett. And Edmund Bartlett is known for that. You understand, as it relates to the PR puppet master. Now, as she said, billion spent by, Edmund Bartlett flying overseas and no expansion in the growth of the tourism pie, right? As it relates to the cruise sector declining by a massive 28%. Her articulation, was on point, right? Highlighting and exposing, right? I mean, these exploiters. Now, when you look at it, right, if you listen further on to the clip, she said, you know, every dollar that the tourism made, right, only 30%, only 30 cents of every dollar circulated in Jamaica. That is disgraceful. 70 cents out of the dollar, right, is out of the borders of Jamaica. That is disgraceful. Now, having said that, let me just have Brother Melting Pot. I'm going to sandwich Sister Maria tonight. Have Brother Melting Pot, right, speak on this issue as it relates to what we have Andrea Perkis speaking about. What say you as it relates to what you have heard there, Melting Pot?
Well, we have highlighted the issue long time ago, you know, and we have breaking it down in chronological order as it relates to, you know, what Jamaica retained from the tourist dollar. But when you have a sector that is largely operated by foreign investors, yeah, and, you know, the country and a whole don't really retain certain nationalization within the product, then you're going to have the situation as it is, you know, where the rich is just reaping the reward. And I mean, the tireless people getting nothing for the service. When you make the comparison with Barbados, you see a wide disparity as it relates to Barbados worker being 400% better off than Jamaican worker, but working within the same sector and probably working for the same chain of hotel, you know, Sandal in particular. So we have a problem with that. But for far too long we have kept Edmund Bartlett as the Minister of Tourism. And when you look at Edmund Bartlett's performance, you know, it beggars to believe. Yeah, because he has not done anything for the worker within the sector in terms of improving their life. You know, I mean, they work tireless within the industry, but they have nothing to show. Yeah, and we have made a comparison in terms of wage structure. You know, you have Jamaican getting 13,000 worthless dollars a week, while the Bajan are getting over 400 US per week. Now, that cannot be, you know, something that we just gripe over. Yeah, we have to ask for the resignation of this tourism minister, because where has he taken tourism? When you hear about the cruise ship decline by 28%, and, you know, all we know them do is just fly overseas and make lavish speech, you know, enjoy a trip outside of Jamaica, but they have not brought back any investment into Jamaica. Yeah, for them to be relying on the North American market as, you know, the prime destiny, the prime product then, yeah, for visitor to come into Jamaica. You know, that need to be looked at in no, you know, uncertain manner, because you need a broader spectrum. Yeah, to sell Jamaica, yeah, you need a broader spectrum of where your visitor coming from. And you need more to incorporate and then, you know, to get the visitor them enthusiastic to come to Jamaica. A reggae festival couldn't do no harm, you know, like what them having in Europe. Reggae festival, because that is a product. And then you have other means of, you know, opening up Jamaica and giving the visitor them an experience. Currently, they are just locked inside a concrete jungle, all exclusive. Yeah, you need people to come on the land itself, explore Jamaica, spend money within the local economy, and boost the sector in a way that, you know, will transform everybody's life in Jamaica as it relates to tourism. People benefiting from the product, yeah, on the ground, and not just the overseas investor. And I yield back the floor to you, Sir Lord Byron.
Well said. Wonderful punch there, Melting Pot. Really love it. I mean, brief, spicy, and trust me, impactful. Now, Sister Maria, what say you as it relates to the information that we receive on the articulation by Andrea Perkis, right, speaking of how the tourism pie had been exploited by the 1%.
Okay. In my years since I've met Ratagon, yourself, Melting Pot, and in my years being on in this media space, we have always been having this conversation about tourism and the lack of impact on the Jamaican people, that the Jamaican people really don't benefit from tourism the way they talk about it. And it's not about speaking against tourism, but there has to be a concerted effort made to really invest in the human capital that works in this industry. But recent tragedies has brought to the forefront the importance of the government pivoting away from tourism as this major part of the economic pie, where it makes more foreign exchange. Tourism and remittances account for the highest foreign exchange intake for the government. So natural disasters, COVID-19, Beryl, and especially Melissa, has magnified the need to now move away from tourism and invest in other sectors. There's no way you can have a thriving tourism sector without dovetailing that, having conversations, having interministry conversations with social security, agriculture, health, education, all of those things combined to make tourism healthy and a product that works for all, not just for the persons who own it. And then when you talk about tourism, you're not only talking about the hotels, you have to talk about beach access, because the foreigners, the tourists have more access to the beaches than they do than do locals. And you know, when I hear Miss Perkins talking about the minister flying, that's the thing, flying all over the world to get people to come to Jamaica. And she mentioned Nigeria. Nigeria is facing the same lack of accountability, lack of transparency, lack of good governance, corruption problem as Jamaica. That is something that needs to be addressed. And given the vulnerabilities that are there, there's a need to really find a way to move to shore up the industry, because it is so fragile. Invest more in productivity, because agriculture is a way of increasing the country's productivity, and it is not possible to rely only on tourism alone from just North America, because we see what is happening in North America, where inflation has set in and all other geopolitical issues have set in, social issues have set in, that impacts tourism in Jamaica. So the minister was right when he said you have to diversify. But what did he do when he said that during COVID-19? What has he done since COVID-19 to make sure there's a pivot away from that dependency on tourism and on these markets, and more into productivity? And another area that they're missing out on is the creative industry. The creative industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but they have not been leveraging it and putting in the necessary resources to make it effective and work for the Jamaican people. So we have a lazy government. And the truth of the matter is, no amount of narrowing is going to fix this problem. And I don't want the Prime Minister or anybody in his administration to sit down and say, see, that is why we need narrow. No. You need accountability. And this is not a procurement issue that we're talking about, why tourism is the way it is and why the infrastructure is not in place to fix the country. It's a lack of will on the part of the government to do the right things, because here is why it's not a procurement issue in terms of doing the necessaries for the tourism industry, dovetailing with agriculture. If you had the minister who was able to get monies for $1.4 billion to buy bus prior to election, you know that it's not a procurement problem, okay? So this is not a thing that NARA can fix. This is an accountability problem. And moving away from the status quo because it is not working. And investing in the people, invest in human capital. That is the problem. Fix the proper infrastructure, because he's walking. There's no more. Listen, Jamaica doesn't need another hotel. Make what they have work for them and move away from that, because there's no place else. You cannot take every piece of land you see with a beach and sell it to people. Come on, it's time for the government to really get serious and talk to the people in the know, because there are people in the country who know better and have better ideas. Put the shame aside, put the pride aside, and talk to the people, because this is about Jamaica. Talk to the Dr. Devon Taylor. He has ideas.
All right, well said, Lady Maria. Let us move to Brother Rattigan. Brother Rattigan, what say you as it relates to what Sister Andrea Perkis, right, had done a wonderful performance in Parliament today, as she highlighted the exploitation of the tourism pie, right, and the limited expansion, the limited innovation in terms of this Jamaica Labour Party administration failed, right, to expand the pie even bigger, and the serious of abuse that the hotel workers are getting in comparison to Barbados, that really operating a smaller economy, right, and generating less income from the tourism sector in comparison to us, but yet their staff had been treated quite well, way better than the Jamaican employee, actually 400%, right, over the Jamaican employee. What say you on the matter, Brother Rattigan?
Well, it just goes to show where the interest is. They have no interest in the people. It's all about exploitation. And, Sister Maria was talking about COVID, and, Minister Bartlett, I actually had him as one of the, probably the hardest working minister, because during the COVID period, I saw him traveling all over Eastern Europe, all over Africa, all over the Middle East. And I said, boy, this man here really had do some stuff. But it was an eye-opener when I listened to the presentation today, because 300 people from India, 300 from the Middle East, 300 from Africa. I mean, we waste time sending him go all of these places, because there's nothing that's, as she said, it's a MAGA number. There's nothing to show for it. And when I look at the minister, I'm totally disappointed in his performance, because he knows how to give a good speech, no doubt about that. He knows how to highlight the lowlights and make you believe that everything is well and is all smoke and mirror. And one of the things I've challenged him on is, for a minister getting that salary, I just want to ask him, and I know I'm going to see him, because people have asked me to meet with him in certain settings, but I'm going to ask him this: is it true that a development formerly called Palmyra, that he has a penthouse there costing over $1 million US? I want to ask him that, if it's true, because I heard that. Wow. And we want to know where the money come from for that, because we know him don't have them kind of money as Minister of Tourism. No, there have been a lot of allegations about all these hotels coming into Jamaica and money under the table and this and that and that. And it's worth looking into. But I can tell you this, that when he went to Riyadh, and because I know Riyadh, I used to live in Riyadh, Abu Dhabi and Dubai used to be my stomping ground. And I can tell you that those people, I'm not surprised that you have 300 people. But at one point, I was actually praising him, saying that you can take people from a tourist destination and bring them to another tourist destination. But it hasn't worked out, because those people are not going to travel all the way from the Middle East, come to Jamaica to come sit down on a beach for a week, when they can do it right there. They're not going to do it. And then when he went to I think it was Kigali, went to Kigali when they had the conference for to determine the Secretary General, when they had the Commonwealth meeting there to determine whether or not one of my favorite ministers, Kamina Johnson Smith, would be the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. When they ask Minister Nestor Morgan, about that trip, he made it abundantly clear that the Minister of Tourism was there to drum up business, to get people to fly from that part of East Africa, Central Africa, to come to Jamaica. And I said, this is nonsense. This is nonsense, because they have Reunion Island right off of the coast of Africa. They have several beautiful islands here. Why would they fly? And there's no direct flight from there coming to Jamaica. So they have to fly halfway around the world to get to Jamaica for a week. It's not going to happen. So all in all, I learned a hell of a lot from listening to her speech, because the numbers, I didn't know the numbers were so low. I mean, I thought the numbers were dwindling, but this is more than dwindling. This is this is catastrophic. And yet you still hear him being praised in all different corners as being the best tourism minister ever in the history of Jamaica. I dare say no.
All right, well said, Brother Ratty. Love that input, powerful right there. All right, now we put that, at the side, and we are going to get into some serious issues, Jamaica. Now, if you look at the thumbnail, right, you will see that I have electromagnetic war prep tests. One, would be wondering, what is that? Well, Mystic Sensation is going to explain that tonight, and I am happy that, we have this panel, and particularly Brother Rattigan experience to the fact that he is here, right? Now, we have seen a JPS All-Island blackout, right? And last week, I've been telling my listeners, as it relates to the reason why United States, right, fighting Iran, fighting Venezuela, and fighting Cuba. And I spoke about BRICS. And regardless of what you see, my Jamaican people and those who are listening to me, the United States, right, have serious concerns where the BRICS is concerned. And I am going to show you evidence as it relates to one of the United States A-class economists and what he's saying in agreeing with my line of argument. And let me say this: Cuba is going to be attacked. I'm going to break down some things tonight. Cuba is going to be attacked. So listen to this, because we are going to get into, right, we are going to show you some serious stuff tonight. So listen to what this professor is saying, so this professor can sensitize you. Listen to this clip.
We are living, you, me, right now, through a very huge change in the entire world economy. There's many ways to explain it, but I'm going to summarize it this way. For most of the period since the end of the Second World War, so roughly since 1945, the United States was the one super powerful, rich capitalist country. All the others that might have been competitors, Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, wrecked by the war. They came out of the war where all the bombs fell, where all the troops were killed, where everything was smashed. Other than Pearl Harbor, at the very beginning, no bombs fell in the United States. No factories were destroyed, no railway lines were destroyed, and we suffered many fewer casualties as a percentage of our people than any of those other countries did. Better. Our economy was a disaster in the 1930s, the Great Depression, and it was the war that brought us out. So our economy was stronger at the end of that war than it had been. Whereas everybody else, the opposite, weaker than they had been. So we were king of the hill. The dollar became the global currency, could use it everywhere. Of course. The United States is 4.5% of the population of the world. We have 330 million people. It's about 4.5% of the population of the world. But we accounted in those years, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and all that, we accounted for a third or 40% or 50% of the total output of the world. Europe rebuilt itself, for those of you who know the history, because we lent them the money with which they could then buy the products we were ready to sell them. That was the period of the rising American empire. The previous empire, you all kind of know, the so-called British Empire, collapsed. India, remember, Mahatma Gandhi becomes independent. That was the great jewel of the crown of England, India. So they break away under Gandhi, 1947. It's the end for the British. It's the end for the French. All of those empires gone. Who replaces them economically? The United States. Nobody else can. And we made a fortune of money, and the American economy took off, and we lived in a country that persuaded itself that it wasn't these peculiar circumstances of the war. And no, built into America is the exceptional quality. We work so hard and we save our money, and there again we encounter that economic concept, bullshit. And how do we know? Because it's gone. Is never coming back. And that's very hard for all of you, whether you admit it to yourself, whether you're even conscious of yourself yet. I'm working hard to make you conscious of it. It's over. The American empire is in decline. And that shouldn't surprise anyone, because every other empire in the history of the human race has gone up and then it has come down. Why you would imagine this one would be the one great exception? You have to be even crazier than most of us are. It was never a question of whether. It was only a question of when, and when has arrived. Here are the clues. We lost the war in Vietnam. We lost the war in Afghanistan. We lost the war in Iraq, and we're in the process of losing it in Ukraine. Hint. What is that about? These are not just wars the United States lost, but let's be clear. The United States, one of the richest countries in the world, went to war in countries that are among the poorest in the world and were defeated. Oh my good. That's like the British arriving here in 1776 with their fancy equipment, and those colonial fellows with their muskets defeated them. Very hard on the British. Very hard on us. Can't quite face that. When I give classes in large universities, which I still do, and I explain to my 18, 19-year-old students what I just told you, they look at me. They look at me the way a puppy does when it did something on the rug that it knows it shouldn't have done. They don't. Americans don't lose wars. They know that. How? Because that's our culture. When we lose them, we magically make that go away. We have a new world economy. We're not the top dog anymore. It's not that we're losing that position. We lost it. It's gone. Let me give you, because I'm an economist, some statistics, very brief, to chew on. The United States is part of a group of nations that are allied. Well, these days I have to qualify that. We're allied. They're called the G7. It's the United States, Canada, Japan, Britain, France, Italy, and Germany. That used to be the powerhouse center of the world in the second half of the 20th century. If you add up the total output of goods and services of the G7, the United States and its major allies, it amounts to about 28% of the total output of our planet. Now I'm going to mention another group, the People's Republic of China and their allies, who have a name. It's called the BRICS, B-R-I-C-S. That was originally 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And another 20 or so, or 18, have joined. That's another block. What is the total output of goods and services of the block of China and its allies, the BRICS? Answer, 35% of world output. That's already a much bigger economic unit than the United States and its major allies. It's over. We are not the center of the world economy the way we were. Every country in the world is rethinking its strategy. Political, economic, military, ideological. Every company in the world that has any international business is trying to figure out, what does this mean? When African countries these days are trying to figure out, where do we get the money to build the railroads that we need? They used to go to New York or London or Paris. They still go to New York, London, and Paris. But as soon as that trip is over, they go to New Delhi, Beijing, and Sao Paulo. And they ask each of them, who's giving me the better deal? And they go with the better deal, which is why most of the railroads in Africa today are built by the Chinese. Why most of the ports emerging on the coasts of Latin America are Chinese. It's not just your underpants. It's everywhere. And there is no end of that in sight. The International Monetary Fund, a Western agency that cannot be accused of any leftism whatsoever, tells us that in the last year, 2024, the United States economy grew by 2.8%, which was better than all of the other G7 countries. The IMF tells us that China last year grew 5%, double the rate of the United States, and India, another member of the BRICS, grew 7%. In other words, the gap, which is already in favor of China, is growing even more in favor of China. We are living, you, me, right now, through a...
So why the Caribbean getting so active? Donald Trump is executing what we call the Monroe Doctrine. And I want Jamaica to listen to me. The JPS blackout. I am going to show you exactly as it relates to the research that I have done. So what Mystic Sensation had done is to find out if United States has the capability. Listen to me, you know, people, and I'm glad that Brother Rattigan is here. If United States possess the capability to shut down a commercial grid, does United States has that ability to shut down a community grid? Jamaica, yes. And I'm going to show you as it relates to the documentation. Without any delay, let us do the AI Google search first, and I'm going to give you the supported documents. The supported .org documents. So just not only Google AI. Let us look at this. 1 and 2. Yes. Let us show you that, of course, the United States Army has the capability to shut down any commercial grid, electrical grid. Let us present that evidence. We heard conspiracy theory that Cuba launched a drone attack that shut down, that caused the fire and the all island blackout. Rattigan and I know very well that Cuba would never ever done something like that, because that would mean that Cuba initiate the war. That would mean Cuba initiate the war, and Cuba will never ever do that. So here's the search and what the search bring forth. Yes, military technology can interfere with or even disable the electrical grid, primarily through electromagnetic pulse EMP devices, directed energy weapons, and targeted cyber warfare. How the military can disrupt the grid? Electromagnetic pulse. Detonating a nuclear device in the upper atmosphere generates an intense cascading wave of electromagnetic energy. This pulse acts like a massive surge protector overload, inducing high voltages in power lines and burning out critical hard-to-replace transformers across massive region. Directed energy and non-nuclear EMP. The military possesses non-nuclear devices like high-power microwave system designed to focus highly concentrated radio frequency energy onto specific target. This can temporarily disrupt, confuse, or permanently fry the digital relays. Let us get into the document number 2. Where am I going? I am going to show you evidence. Let us get into number 2. You understand? Wonderful work on it. Right? Directed energy and non-nuclear EMP. The military possesses non-nuclear devices like high-power microwave system designated to focus highly concentrated radio frequency energy onto specific targets. This can temporarily disrupt, confuse, or permanently fry the digital relays and computer control system responsible for managing electricity distribution. I want Jamaican to listen up. Cyber warfare. Advanced military cyber command possesses the capability to infiltrate supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA network by hacking into the software that manages the grid. Military operators can force power plants to shut down, manipulate voltage loads, or open circuit breakers. Take that away on it. Where am I going? Did the Jamaican government, let me ask Andrew Honest, did the Jamaican government allow the United States NIMITS members to run a test run before they go to Cuba? Because Cuba is imminent. That's the question that needs to answer. Did the Jamaican government allow the USA NIMITS members to execute such tests on our system? Why am I asking that? I am going to show you evidence that prior to attack Venezuela, United States fry Venezuela electronic grid. This is no joke. The very same thing that had happened to Jamaica. Prior to United States attack Venezuela, the army, the cruise ship, the warship, fry Venezuela electronic grid. Let us go to the evidence. Let us get to the evidence. Cyber warfare powers Venezuela. And listen, Jamaican people. Listen.
The United States, in fact, carried out a highly coordinated military operation in Venezuela on Saturday, an operation that has, according to news reports, relied on cyber and space warfare. in order to disable critical systems in Caracas. The attacks on the digital front cut power, jammed air defenses, and disrupted communications, laying the groundwork for a joint U.S. Air Force and Special Forces mission inside the Venezuelan capital. And according to a report, U.S. cyber operators blacked out large parts of Caracas in the early hours of Saturday, shutting down electricity and communication networks to confuse and disorient defense systems. According to the report, U.S. Cyber and Space Commands worked together. More than 150 planes, drones, and helicopters were able to enter Caracas airspace undetected. The blackout was followed by precision airstrikes, which disabled Venezuela's air defense and surveillance systems. This allowed U.S. helicopters to fly at low altitude and enter the city under the cover of darkness. U.S. President Donald Trump claimed the operation used advanced expertise, turning off city lights before airstrikes started. Internet Tracking Group reported a loss of internet connectivity in Caracas during power cuts early Saturday morning. The report saying that the operation was a result of months of digital and intelligence planning, including cyber reconnaissance and electronic warfare drills. According to Politico, U.S. agencies had tested the waters with cyber attacks on Venezuela's oil and gas infrastructure, testing the country's ability to respond to large-scale digital disruption. According to military experts, the use of cyber warfare to shape military operations is an established tactic. In 2010, the U.S. and Israel were linked to the cyber attack that disabled Iran's nuclear centrifuge.
Right, the world that prior to United States attack Venezuela, the evidence goes to show that United States shut down Venezuela electric grid. Right? So we know very well that the United States has that capability as it relates to what Jamaica had experienced. Now, let me just juggle in, right, and to the fact that we have Brother Rattigan here, right? We are going to just have Brother Rattigan, you know, speak on the situation as it relates to what we had shown, and knowing to the fact that the United States is capable to execute and lock down any electronic grid that they want to close down. Brother Rattigan, what say you based on the evidence that we present?
You can't hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the capability is there. It's no secret. The question I have, though, is why? And you were saying that they were testing. Keep in mind that soldiers came off the Nimitz and they were allowed to walk on land in Jamaica. I don't know why. I think they dressed it up and they said that it was a tourist type trip to the North Coast. I don't know if it's true or not, but I get leery when people come off our ship and start walking around, or even off our plane, like the Indians or the Pakistanis, who the plane that came to Jamaica and with what 200, 300 people, and they allowed them to go downtown and roam around, and we don't even know who came in, who left. The capability is there, but keep this in mind that according to reports, that members of the U.S. Embassy staff in Havana, that they suffered some medical issues that to this day people don't know what caused those issues. And so there's a lot of experimentation going on, a lot. And for Jamaica to experience a total blackout when this ship departed, it's hard not to see some kind of connection. It's hard not to see it. As much as you try, it's hard. If it was just Kingston alone and St. Andrew, then you could say yes. But for the total blackout, and then we have the JPS man come on and say there was lightning in the area. Nonsense. Lightning, what that means is that lightning would have to be in every place where they have the substation and hit it and give a better chance of winning the lottery than that happening. So that never happened. I'm not satisfied with the explanation I'm getting. And you know what's interesting? You haven't heard a word. I haven't heard a word from maybe they have spoken, but the embassy, the U.S. government, I haven't heard a single thing. Maybe they have regarding the blackout. Although I can't see why they would have anything to say about it, since they had nothing. You know, they're gonna say that we had nothing to do with it. We don't know how this happened, and I guarantee you that you're gonna hear them talk about investigation. And at the end of the day, nothing is going to come out of this. Nothing. Now, there's speculation that they were there for nefarious purposes because of the proximity to Cuba. I don't know where the Nimitz is right now. But the question I had is, they never have to come to Jamaica. Them have Guantanamo Bay. They could have easily done something from Guantanamo Bay if they wanted to. So I don't know if coming to Jamaica was an experiment as to the technology on the ship to see what they could do from a distance. I really don't know, but it's very, very troubling, the fact that Jamaica had an all-island blackout.
All right, hold on, Ratty. I tell you that it was struggling to me in terms of, you know, why would you know, the possibility of that test. And I was saying to myself, just what you mentioned there. Is it a situation that they are, you know, testing as it relates to distance and how effective it would be? So you have said the right thing. So you and I are parallel where that is concerned.
Yeah, because if you think about it from a testing standpoint, they'd have to be careful, because you couldn't put if you bring the Nimitz into Cuban waters, you probably would have an international crisis if they did something like that. But Jamaica is right there, right? So, you know, it wouldn't be a problem. So it could be a testing issue. Although I'm asking around and I'm trying to figure out what's the real purpose of bringing the Nimitz into the port of Kingston. And I haven't gotten a good answer yet. I really haven't gotten a good answer. So that one is puzzling. And even more puzzling is the fact that we have JPS come on. JPS will just get the 150 million. And I mean, Sister Maria and I, we had this conversation last week. Because, you know, she take it a bit further than me. But I say, hey, you know, them get 150 million for shore up things. What them call it? Resilience. No, that them call it. And we had no resilience last week. Nothing. So, you know, and if it happened once, it can happen again. And so far, the explanation that I'm hearing, and I'm sure you're hearing the same thing too, just does not make any sense. But to answer your question, yes, the technology does exist.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that, Brother Martin and Brother Rattigan. Remember, Sister Maria, we say we are sung with you tonight, you know. We are sung with you tonight. All right, Sister Maria, go ahead. So, Melting Pot, remember taking the notes, because you are going to sledge it away for us. All right. Yes, Sister Maria, go ahead. Based on the evidence that we present to United States capability in terms of course, shutting down commercial grids.
They 100% have the capability to do any myriad of things. But I personally don't believe this has anything to do with them. My issue really is with the government, because this is what you have to realize, you know. This is a government that likes shiny objects. And oftentimes when you see things, it's more a distraction for what is distraction from something else, right? So in my opinion, this is just a shiny object. Something else is happening. We don't know, we don't fully know what it is right now. But this is, honest to God, outside of the wheelhouse of the Jamaican government. Andrew Wallace is playing is a sprat playing in the ocean where blue whales live. All right. Okay. So I don't think that they have anything to do with the blackout. And like my brother Ratty said, we had this conversation, and I think we really have to look into the monies that the JPS got from the government. What was it for? And remember now that the opposition, especially opposition leader Mark Golding, stood in the parliament asking poignant questions about the loan. Why? What are the guidelines? What is it for? How much money you're lending them? Where are you getting it from? All of that, you know. And they said, to use Daryl Vaz's words, the people them want light. People them want light. When you're missing the point about accountability and transparency. So here we have it now. The people them get light, but they like down. You know, come on. And like I said to somebody, not in recent memory have I heard of this level of blackout in Jamaica. So it for me, the questions fall squarely at the feet of the government. Why did they lend them so much money? And what was the failure? Because here's the thing, because I have a friend who works in construction and she talks about these things. And you don't only have one grid that takes care of all the island. Not at all. Because if you notice, when Melissa hit, Melissa did not affect all of Jamaica because they were able to shut off the grid that affects that Western Jamaica. So all of the other parishes that were not affected by the hurricane still had power. So you have a lot of substations. You have in Rockfort, you have Hunts Bay, you have in Old Harbor, you have down in the west, you have them all over the island. So they can shut off the ones that are affected, and while the others keep working. So, and I'm not a person that feeds into conspiracy theories. People are asking, okay, in the darkness, what came in? What was unloaded? Because knowing that Jamaica is a major transshipment point, you have to also go into those, allow yourself to think, was it a shipment of guns? Was it a shipment of cocaine? You have to allow yourself to think all of that. Because you're dealing with a government that lacks transparency, lacks accountability. There's no good governance. Corruption runs rampant. Corruption takes 5% of the GDP. So there's no urgency on their part to be forthright and honest. And then when you speak out, Daryl Vaz said, you're done dark and you're stupid. Or you're bad mind. When this is taxpayers' money you're talking about, money that have to be paid back, that is being loaned to this agency, you cannot ask any questions. You loan them the money, and here you have a major failure like this, a major failure. So mine, I wouldn't blame external forces. I would have to look within and question the government. And they like shiny objects. So, anything, they get excited at the simplest of things, very excited.
All right, well said, Maria. One thing with this panel, is a democratic panel, right? And of course, based on what I said there as it relates to United States, right, having the capability, right, to perform that situation as it relates to locking down the grid, right? And Rattigan is also saying that United States has the capability, indeed, to lock down the grid. We had seen that United States performed that exercise on Venezuela prior to attack Venezuela, right? So here we have Melting Pot is going to make his decision based on his assessment. And remember, we are saying that the panel is a democratic panel. Brother Melting Pot, what say you on this matter?
First, I just want to thank you for a brilliant research, very informative, yeah? And I mean, it revealed a lot of things that a lot of Jamaicans did not know in regards to the capability that the Americans have at their disposal. I'm glad that you played the clip as it relates to what they did in Venezuela, using the same mechanism. So, I'm just fathoming things along the line of your presentation, which I can take with a pinch of salt. Now, when you look at who was on the ship, was the Minister of Energy, Daryl Vaz, Pum Vaz, went on the ship. Now, that is very significant, And we were, contemplating why it was looking so out of place. But this could be the reason why. You understand? Because, there's an eminent threat, as it relates to what the American want to orchestrate within the Caribbean basin. Now, Cuba is a target based on what came out of press conference from within the United States as it related to 1996 downing of, plane that American Cuban pilot were, in the cockpit and lost their life. And we hear all the, variants as it related to Royal Castro being indicted, and those charged based on the fact that he was the man in charge of the army at the time. So it quite understandable why Jamaica suffer, in that regard as it relates to an all-island blackout. That is not, anything to do with subdivision, being, tampered with and, all those things. Now, this is an orchestrated plan that was executed, and trying to see how all the mechanism work and if it can be done from a distance. Yes. We are looking at similarity in regards to what took place in Venezuela. I mean, Jamaica has never experienced this yet. I can guarantee that this is a first. Outside of any major catastrophe like hurricane and all these things, earthquake. Just to have your island completely covered in darkness. When, as Sister Maria rightfully said, the government just handed over billions of dollars to this company. You understand? So everything must be on point and be able to, exhibit resilience. So we couldn't have the all at the subdivision them blow up based on what the guy said lightning. Now lightning flash all the while in Jamaica, everything remain relatively stable and normal. So we don't buy into this scenario about lightning. As I said to my Jamaican people, the first minister to set foot, or one of the first minister, because two of them went there, is Darrell Vaz, him in charge of JPS. We know that our government, is compromised, and America will use them for every added advantage that they can gain. It's right here in Jamaica. There is no opposition to what America wants to do as it relates to these type of high-profile geopolitical event, and war strategy. So we have to look on this, very unfortunate circumstance because Jamaicans are the ones who suffer from blackouts. And it's as a result of the government initiating a program alongside the United States, which is its counterpart, because the government, the Prime Minister in Jamaica and its entire cabinet, most of them, is under surveillance from the United States as it relates to all type of, circumstance that coincide with illegal activity. And them use Jamaica as a bargaining tool, as a bargaining chip. Because this is what you get from a kleptocratic regime, who throw its weight into all aspects of life that they should not have been involved in. When a government is attached to cocaine trade and gun trafficking, then the headmaster will always have them in for questioning in his office, And we don't know what are the complementary gifts that is given to the headmaster, such as having a warship in our territory, spying on our neighbor, wanting to execute electrical device cyber attack on our neighbor. So I have to leave that right there in the opening for discussion. I'm not going to close it. Just looking at the scenario, what happened in Venezuela, it's probably the same thing they want to execute on the Cubans. Because we know that America want to exploit the Cuban way of life to get them to move away from this long-standing regime and to merge into a society that will incorporate America carrying out investment now, trade investment with the Cubans. And I yield back the floor to you, Sir Lord Byron.
Before we go any further, we have one caller. Let me just hear what the caller has to say. Right? Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation.
Good night, family.
Blessings, blessings. All right.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead, my dear.
And talk?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, again, good night to everybody on the panel, host and co-host. Question, what if they cancel their plan that they have to invade Cuba because China and Russia stated that they would get involved, or a possibility that perhaps the head of China as well as Russia has spoken to them. What if it's something like that? So they have bought the plan to invade Cuba. Okay, another thing, I am not spreading any rumor. I don't know, and it's not something that I could research. It was just said to me by a laborer that I know in Jamaica that they had another ship in some place in St. Elizabeth, one in St. Mary, and it's because the light went out because they didn't want anybody to see when the ship was leaving, because the ship left in the dark of night. I don't know if that is true. And that they are fooling the people to say something was wrong why the light has to go out. They said the person says it's not true. They're fooling the people. It has to do with the ship leaving the port. So I don't know. As I said, it's not something that I could research.
But hold on. But hold on. I beg to, dismiss that line of argument because the ship left in the morning and the blackout was in the evening. So that couldn't be the situation.
And for certainty, the ship left in the morning.
Yes, the ship pulled out in the morning, so that couldn't be the situation.
Okay, so I said it's not something that I could research because I really didn't know what time it left, right. Something like that. So we throw that out.
All right.
But I would think then perhaps something else was up their sleeve, and they're just trying to fool the people. But as the saying is, you can't fool all the people all the time. But something was up, and they're not speaking the truth.
Definitely.
I just don't trust Daryl Vaz.
Okay.
I don't trust that man at all. And I'm saying to myself until it is clear that he has no shares in JPS. And you could have shares in JPS. He could have anyone else, and they're protecting each other. Because, as we all know, the light bill went up to 7%. The people not getting the value for money.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
The whole people have to ransom with two of these thing in Jamaica. The JPS and Water Commission has lived in the purse of the Jamaican people over the years. And it has no stop, no change. It's just adding more and more.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your input. Blessings. Yes, caller 5308. I am coming at you right now. Right. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Please go ahead. Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Please go ahead. Hello.
Yes, my brother. Good.
Yes.
To you and all those who are on the panel and all the listeners.
Thank you.
Yes, my brother. I just want to touch a point on what Melting Pot, said. But before I go to that, yes, brother Ratigan, blessed man, blessed. I just want Ratigan to listen this. As a matter of fact, I just want to giving this message that Jamaican and Jamaica is depending upon you guys. You know, I am telling you the truth. Jamaicans is depending up on you guys. The help that you are helping Jamaica, it's a blessing that, trust me, Jamaican cannot pay you guys. And Ratigan, believe you me, the works that you are doing, Mystic, the works that you are doing, we're lonesome and everyone. But trust me, most of all, I'm telling you, Mystic and Ratigan, right now, both of you are the key for Jamaica that unlocked the corruption that is taking place in Jamaica. You guys are opening up, as a matter of fact, open the eyes of Jamaicans so that we can see so much of the wickedness and the corruption that is taking place in Jamaica. Right? So thank you very much for all what you are doing. But anyway, Melting Pot said something, and trust me, I want you guys to take a good note at that. Look into it. When him said, when the blackout, you know, when the blackout, as a matter of fact, pertaining to the blackout, okay, when Darrell Valls, right? Darrell Valls is the Minister of Energy, right?
Yes.
And he's the one that go on the ship, which we see, right? And you could see on his face something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. Please, I'm asking you, Ratigan, everyone, take a good note of that. He bring up a good point. Very, very good point.
Yes,
Just take a good note of that.
I think that melting
Do
point.
some research.
Yeah,
do some research on that. Ratigan, please go back in your cabinet and do some good research on that. Mystic, I know you're good at that. Please do it.
Blessings.
Peace and love, my brother. God bless and have a wonderful night. I'm still here watching you guys.
Blessings. Thank you
Peace
very much for your input.
All right. Yes, man.
All right. Yes, I mean, to be honest, what Melting Pot said right there, you know, Darrell Valls being the Minister of Energy, right, was right there on the ship. And of course, right, let me just take this call.
All right.
Yes, caller, you're on Mystic Sensation Live. Go ahead.
Good night, Daisy Magazine, Ratigan, Melting Pot, Mystic, and Madame Mystic.
Blessings, blessings.
You know, this is true, you know. We are looking through this 9 inches wall that they think they put up.
Yes.
You realize that when you hit those points, all of you, Brother Ratigan, you have a job to do. Daisy Magazine, keep them level-headed. This conspiracy theories, we're not going to chase after no rabbit down no hole. Darrell Valls in the parliament today tabled. He's tabling something to do with our airspace and our waterways and our sea space. He is tabling something. Please keep an eye on it because we know something is happening in the Caribbean, in our basin. And we have to be prepared. We please exposed it because Mystic, you know where to go, you know.
Yep.
Ratigan know where to go. Melting Pot know where to go. Keep them level-headed in Daisy Magazine. Mama Mystic, you make sure you support your husband as you've been doing an excellent job. I wouldn't mind the Speaker of the House, let you mentor her. Honestly. In the supportive role that she needs to be in. She looking a little better since scenes like Frank here in the House of Commons in Canada. I'd give her some good tips. I see she probably listening. because I see some little bit of changes, but it's too late now to me. But from what I know, as a Commonwealth country, which my country, our country, I shouldn't say mine alone, our country, we look a piece of rock with the Almighty God, give we eternal Father, give we. We know, said the Governor General is supposed to be the head of the defense force. The Prime Minister cannot deploy without him approving it, which is coming. Him have to ask permission from the Crown, from England to do that, because that's what I know a Governor General does. In the Commonwealth, that is the common law. Am I incorrect, Mr. Rattigan? Desime? Am I incorrect, Mystic?
All right, let me make the law. Let me let the lawyer speak on that regards. I could speak on that regards, but let me make the lawyer speak on that regards.
Oops. 1 sec. Why is not allowing me to hold on?
Yeah.
Okay, there.
Yeah. No, let me just quickly say that Sister Daisy said that under the cover of darkness, we don't know what really happened with guns and drugs. But remember, them have a plan when them blow up them people all fishermen out of sea. So, but here is something I want to get to the caller's question. But let me just this is on my mind. I want to share it with you.
Yes.
Limits is nuclear powered, right?
Yes.
Since 1984, Jamaica has been tinkering with nuclear power. Up at UA, we have a nuclear reactor called Slowpoke, right?
Yes.
And what they're trying to, and they've made it clear that they're trying to integrate nuclear power into electricity needs of Jamaica. And we had Minister Darrell Vaz, Minister of Energy, on that ship. I'm just curious. Not a conspiracy theory. Just curious as to whether or not they received equipment, and they've been receiving equipment and they're testing it to incorporate it into providing electricity for Jamaica. And somehow, you have some nincompoop who don't know what do and touch a wrong button and blow up the whole thing. I'm just curious because I know that they're experimenting right now with it.
Yes.
And they're getting the approvals to incorporate it for domestic purposes. So I'll just throw that out there.
All right. Since the lady on the call, I want to just ask you one question since you're on the fly, right? So we are going to dismiss the fact that the rumor out there, or the conspiracy theory out there, that Cuba sent a drone, right, and hit. We know that that couldn't be, because it would mean, Brother Rattigan, that Cuba initiate a war. Am I lying? Am I right with that?
It would be, we're very foolish with a nuclear powered aircraft carrier to send a drone in, and are they saying that the drone came in and did all of this after the ship?
Yes, that is the argument out there. But we dismiss that because that could never.
No, it's that doesn't seem possible. You're better off buying a lottery ticket again.
Exactly.
What was the question that the caller asked? What was it? Caller, go ahead with the question.
No, do you have any more questions?
What was the question?
No, that is what I'm saying. The panel tonight is bringing clarity to all the conspiracy theory, woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. It would be best, as the other gentleman said, we need this panel to bring us back to ground zero. Yes. As Rattigan said, Brother Rattigan said, it could be that fire, somebody touched the wrong switch with the experiment. That is more plausible and believable. Because what they're doing is confusing us and taking us away from what's really happening in Jamaica, what's really killing Jamaica. So I'll come off the phone now and let you get to it. I would like to hear, though, the final talk about the Governor General role in the defense and all that stuff, because we need to know and teach our people what they should be expecting and what is true and what is false. Thank you.
Okay. All right, brother, sister, thank you for your input. Brother Rattigan, as it relates to her question on the Governor General, can you just have that clarified for her?
I was trying to ask her to restate the question for me. Can you restate it, please?
Okay. She was saying that it is the Governor General who's supposed to authorize war if there's going to be any war. I think that was what she was saying along the line, that Andrew Holness cannot do it unilaterally. You'd have to get some form of approval from the Governor General.
All right.
What say you on the matter?
All right, I can't recall Jamaica ever getting into a war situation with another nation. I know they've been to Haiti, but that was like on an international peacekeeping mission. I don't know the exact answer to it, but let me just take a stab at it based on my knowledge of the Constitution and how Jamaica works. Remember, Jamaica has a king, King Charles, and he's the head of state. It's not Prime Minister Andrew Holness, it's King Charles. And King Charles has a representative in Jamaica who bears the title Governor General. And in terms of, if you look in, it's not succession, I forgot the term that they use, but what you have the king, you have the Governor General, and then you have the three branches of government, with the Prime Minister in charge of the executive, you have his wife in charge of the legislative, and then you have the judiciary. It would seem to me, and again, this is just my guess, it would seem to me that if there's going to be war, you'd have to consult with the king or the king's representative. You couldn't just go there, because remember now, Jamaica is not truly independent. No matter what you hear them say, Jamaica is not independent. We still have a king. And if you don't believe me, people, look it up. Jamaica has a king. The king of England is the king of Jamaica. So much so that you see that little thing there, the mace, what I'm talking about, when the king comes to Jamaica and have to go to parliament, they lower it or they cover it. When the Governor General is there, they lower it or they cover it out of respect for the fact that the sovereignty is in the building. When the sovereign person is not there, then they move it to the upper level. Except when they have the little when they have the committee meetings, then they lower it. But no, it seemed to me as if that you would have to go to the king and at least notify the Governor General. You'd have to notify him that this is what we're doing. And don't forget, under the Constitution, the Governor General has the right. He has the right to call in the Prime Minister at any time to discuss anything having to do with government. He's not limited. The Prime Minister is limited, not the Governor General.
Well said, Brother Ratty, and I do agree with that myself. So I think Brother Rattigan and myself, right, are on the same page with that. Now, having said that, all right, Jamaica, we are dive now in the
process. No, before you move on, Mystic. In talking about this whole JPS thing and the national security implications of it and all of that, let me jog your memories a little bit. Remember that the Prime Minister at one time had the first national security advisor ever in the country. Remember that?
Yes.
And we know that the role of a national security advisor is to put forward a comprehensive policy to ensure that decisions are made and implemented effectively to protect, he gathers intelligence, to protect the country against foreign and domestic threats. How did that work? Because remember, he was being paid by taxpayers, and that person was no other than the current CEO of NARA. Has he had a national security advisor since? How did it work then, and how is it working now?
Brother
Rattigan, that question is for you.
Want to respond to Sister Maria with that question?
Yeah, he took the chief of staff and he made him the first national security advisor to the Prime Minister to Parliament, right? And then he moved him. He did such a wonderful job, outstanding job, that he said, no, I have to have this man as my police commissioner. And they'll tell you, no, it was the committee responsible for that did it. But we know how it works. Whoever the Prime Minister wants to be police commissioner is going to be police commissioner, because God and Shirley not have the backbone to stand up to the Prime Minister. Never did, never will. So he made him Prime Minister. He made him police commissioner. Then remember when he left, put him in charge of some resiliency thing for natural disaster. Then he moved him over to Washington DC and said become our ambassador. Then he moved him now according to NARA. To answer your question, Maria, He is the first and the only national security advisor. They had a deputy. I don't remember the person's name, but he's that position was created for him. It was created for him, and no one has occupied that seat, to the best of my knowledge. And I may be wrong. Right. To the best of my knowledge, no one has occupied that seat since he left. They had a deputy, but that's it.
But Rattigan, in the Jamaican context, is it necessary?
No.
Was it necessary?
No.
Right, no. Because it goes back to my point with the Prime Minister as a sprat playing in the ocean where blue whales live. You see, because he was reaching, and I'm like, national security advisor, that kind of don't make no sense, you know. But go and listen to the interview that he did with J. If you think he was not wearing his commissioner hat, please listen to his JIS interview.
You remember good.
And you will see the country is going backwards. No.
What, Ratty? Yeah. What on the Sister Maria? The interviewer asks Google Gaga, what does a CEO does? And Google Gaga response was that a CEO does what a CEO does.
Hey, no, Rattigan, let me tell you something. You're going to laugh to keep from crying. But you're going to see how the government really doesn't care about the expenditure of borrowed money, and they do not care about putting people with qualifications in jobs such as these.
Maria, hold on. When the interviewer asks Google Gaga, right, what is the role and responsibility of the NARA CEO? And he's going to respond that the CEO does what the CEO does. What does that mean?
Meaning I know.
He's going to do Andrew Holness's. No, Rattigan, he knows. He's just there to rubber stamp Andrew Holness's pet project.
Hold on, Maria. Ratty, respond or you respond a while, or you responded a while ago.
Sister, him no know. Believe me, him no know.
Okay.
No idea.
It is worth. It will be worth your time, Rattigan. Trust me.
Okay.
Look, I know, that man is a straight loser. I know that. When I say loser, he's a winner for himself and for the Prime Minister, but for the people of Jamaica, straight loser. Because remember that you brought it up, that interview that he did when they had that police program, and they asked him the question. Miss, what's your name? Miss that personality in the Jamaica.
Miss Kitty.
The question. And him say, well, I'm not here wearing my police.
I'm not here. Grateful and blessed.
All right. Well, we can't.
She asked him what kind of message.
Melting pot are cool up too much. Yeah. Right. Brother Melting Pot, you want to say anything in this? Because we have to call you up for your Melting Pot.
Baby, Google Gaga is a baby, and you can't have baby interact in a grown up, conversation. So him now won't know nothing.
Melting Pot, they asked Google Gaga, what are the role and responsibility of the NARA CEO? And Google response was the CEO does what the CEO does.
Simple, because you know the intricacy of what the CEO role and responsibility look like. So him just use a phrase there because that baby, That's why we call him Google Gaga. He can't talk yet. And prove himself on certain manner. Okay, and say him not up for the job. He's not up for the task and the role and responsibility where the crime minister bestowed upon him. Yeah, and Ratty said he was and a loser for the prime minister. Because his uncle Google Gaga win by getting a salary, Remember, Andrew don't benefit from this guy, Because this guy has demonstrated a lack of understanding in every aspect to the task that he's been, entrusted with. It's a failure. I mean,
but Melting Pot, the man is straight lunatic,
Maria, you hear what Joan Allen said? Read what Joan Allen said, Melting Pot. Melting pot.
Major Anthony Anderson was wearing his brief over his head.
But he said,
Lunatic.
he
Man, a lunatic.
But
Very
you know what?
lunatic.
himself, man. Uncle Google got a benefit from, every
Yeah, and
appointment.
Andrew.
And I
True.
You know what?
from this.
You know what?
Because it's lunatic, and Jamaican people
Yeah.
must be aware of him. Even right now, when Andrew is in charge of Anara, it's because he no want accountability. When you put a lunatic in a position,
True.
you can't get no accountability, and all you have to do is just put the lunatic in front of everybody, and say, well, him bound to make mistake, I'm a lunatic, so there lies the problem. Yeah? You put a dog in charge of a kennel, him rule a kennel. But if you put a pigeon in a kennel, the pigeon don't know if you do in the kennel, So that's
I wonder when will the Jamaican people realize how much money that they have invested in this man.
True. No joking, Ratigan.
How much money they've invested? They invested money in him to become chief of staff, right? That's a government job.
Yep.
Invested money in him to become national security advisor.
Security advisor.
They've invested money in him to become police commissioner. Him fail. Then they move him overseas, and him there a year or so. You know how much money involved in that?
Not even a year, no man. It's remember September. When did he start? No, after the election. When did he start?
Go before the election.
Yeah.
Before the election. Okay. What is a year yet? Wow.
No, I don't think it's a year.
Do a year now.
You know how much money it takes for him to move people like that around, and that position is the premier position, in the foreign ministry. Is the premier position, being ambassador in Jamaican ambassador to the United States.
To what? Yes.
For that, and I'm hearing that him say him not cut out for the job. That's what I'm hearing. That him left and him say not cut out for the job.
Really, not Ratigan.
He's cut out for now.
Ratty. He wasn't wearing his commissioner hat. He wasn't wearing his ambassadorship hat. He wasn't. I mean, come on. Square peg in a round hole.
All right, we are going to press gas because the next subject matter is quite interesting and very serious, very, very serious. Now, Brother Ratty, panel, let me to all the panelists. When we talk about media coverage and the responsibility of, media, journalists, that journalists need to be held accountable as it relates to, the credible source of their information, which is important that they ensure that their information is credible in terms of what they are feeding into the public atmosphere. But let us go into this as it relates to what young Jamaican demands, because this subject matter is going to be extremely serious, Brother Ratty, and the melting pot and Sister Maria. Now, here it is, right? And, the reason why this is very serious, it's very serious because this shows a blatant bias. Because Mark Golding, right, had been, as it relates to submitting his statutory declaration on time, and not only that, he had submitted his statutory declaration on time, right? They all being certified. And here you have, right, posted by Siobhan Campbell, Young Jamaica demands Golding account for his uncertified 2024 statutory declaration, right? And this is it in terms of the blatant biasness and the fabrication of lies. Now, the young arm of the, let me just play it instead of read it here.
Opposition leader Mark Golding was pressed on the outstanding certification at an April media briefing. He attributed the holdup to staffing issues at the Integrity Commission. But Young Jamaica has rejected that account as unsatisfactory, branding it implausible and fanciful as a justification for what it characterized as a 2-year delay. The group notes that the commission is mandated by law to publish notices confirming certification of the declarations filed by both the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition, the only two public officials whose certified declarations are made public in summary form. The PNP previously made heavy weather of an uncertified declaration of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Golding repeatedly seized on the commission's inability to certify Holness's declarations, telling supporters in October 2023 that it was not a good look and calling on the Prime Minister to step aside. By May 2024, he was arguing that the non-certification alone disqualifies him from being Prime Minister, and a year later, he claimed that in most other countries, the continued non-certification would disqualify Holness from office. Young Jamaica sought to draw a sharp line between the two situations. Holness has gone to court to challenge aspects of the commission's handling of his declarations. It's a matter the group said remains before the judiciary and is therefore subject to the sub judice principle. Young Jamaica says Golding, by contrast, has cited no such legal proceedings to explain his outstanding certification. However, in a response from the opposition leader to Nationwide News' queries, Golding says the IC has completed the summary of his 2024 declaration and sent it to him for signing. He says this has been done and returned to the commission. The opposition leader says the next step is for them to have it gazetted. He's unsure why that has yet to be done. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
All right. So here is the propaganda machine, right? Comes out, right? Talking about Mark Golding 2024 statutory declaration, right? Now, let us hear the response, right, relating to that. This is just really horrible coming from Nationwide, right? So let us get into the response where that is concerned.
The following is a release from the People's National Party Media Unit.
The People's National Party Youth Organization is calling on Young Jamaica and the Jamaica Labour Party's Communications Task Force to issue an immediate and public apology for the dissemination of a reckless, baseless, and malicious statement concerning opposition leader Mark Golding's 2024 statutory declaration. The PNPYO is deeply disturbed that this misinformation was sent to the media and disseminated to the wider public without even the basic level of research, verification, or due diligence being conducted. The PNPYO further notes that the certification by the Integrity Commission of opposition leader Mark Golding's 2024 statutory declaration was published in the Jamaica Gazette on May 26, 2026. More than a week before Young Jamaica's defamatory press release was issued. The Jamaica Gazette is the official state newspaper and a journal of record for the government of Jamaica and serves as the official medium through which such information is published to the public. Even the most basic level of due diligence would have revealed the facts before Young Jamaica chose to issue its statement. The public is therefore entitled to ask whether this was simply negligence or a deliberate attempt to tarnish the reputation of the leader of the opposition. We are proud to be led by a leader such as Mark Golding MP, whose statutory declarations have been certified by the Integrity Commission every year since he became a Member of Parliament in 2017, including for the year ending December 31, 2024. The Prime Minister and the Minister with responsibility for information have repeatedly pledged to fight misinformation and correct falsehoods when they arise. This is their opportunity to prove that those commitments are more than talking points.
Now, we are going to show
an apology to the leader of the opposition is not
of a good leader as it relates to all of the opposition leader statutory declaration had been certified. And where we're going to go from here is going to be extremely serious. Let us show that, right, all of Mark Golding statutory declaration, the integrity boss, that's what, right, he has been called, and rightly so. Here it is, people, right, from 2018, certified, 2019, certified. 2020, certified. 2021, certified. 2022, certified. 2023, certified. 2024, certified. And that's what you have seen written there, the hallmark of a good leader. Now, take that away, and we're going to go into some very serious issues right now. Now, Brother Rattigan, right? You are the lawyer right here, and I'm going to ask you to lend us your expertise, right, in where I'm going. The Prime Minister statutory declaration had going roughly 4 years uncertified. 2022 uncertified, 2023 uncertified, 2024 uncertified, and 2025, right, is going to be uncertified. Not too we about that. Now, Brother Rattigan, I am going to show you 2 documents, and then I'm going to ask some questions as it relates to the Commissioner of Police and the DPP, where Andrew Holness is concerned, having his statutory declaration uncertified and going 4 years, right, on which he was on the ballot where he shouldn't have been, right, and where he's still in the parliament. So we're going to have some serious discussion tonight. Now, let me show you 2 documents as it relates to the power of the DPP. Let us look at this, Brother Rattigan. You're going to see where I'm going, where this is concerned. And as I said, I need your experience as yes. Yes. Now, let me show Jamaica this, because some time ago, I said that the DPP can now involve as it relates to Andrew Holness' statutory declaration has not been certified. The DPP can engage in giving the Prime Minister an ultimatum and proceed accordingly, in spite of the Prime Minister talking, in spite of people talking about investigation is ongoing, the Prime Minister has not been charged, right? The DPP can settle all of this. Now, here it is. The Jamaican Director of Public Prosecution does not need a formal indictment. Jamaica, listen to this. The Jamaican Director of Public Prosecution does not need a formal indictment to bring initial charges against a person. Under Section 94 of the Jamaican Constitution, the DPP has broad constitutional authority to initiate criminal prosecutions, authorize charges, or take over charges already laid by the police or private citizens. The initiation process typically follows this structure. Initiation, laying charges, the DPP advises investigators on whether the evidence warrants a charge, after which police formally lay the charges in the magistrate court, either summary or indictable offense. The role of the indictment. Indictments are generally reserved for serious indictable offenses that must be tried by a judge and a jury in a higher court, such as the Supreme Court, right, or certain. Take that away. Not only that I provide the AI information, I am going to show you now the .org information, right, to show the legitimacy of the AI summary report. Where I am going, it's very serious, right? So I want people to pay attention in terms of where I am going tonight. Now, here it is. The original .org document. The Chambers of the Director of the Public Prosecution, Institution, Objectives, Function, and Structure. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, is a constitutional office which plays a vital role in the administration of justice in criminal causes or matters. The DPP is the sole authority vested with the power and responsibility to exercise control over the prosecution of all criminal matters except the institution of a court-martial. Functions of the DPP's chambers. The function of the chambers of the Director of Public Prosecution are set out under Article 187 of the Constitution of Guyana. These are: 1. To institute and undertake criminal proceedings against any person before a court of law, other than a court-martial, in respect of any offense that contravenes the law of Guyana. To take over and continue any such criminal proceedings that may have been instituted by any other person or authority. To discontinue at any stage before any judgment is delivered any such criminal proceeding instituted or undertaken by her or any other person or authority. Now take it away on it. This is where I'm going now, Brother Ratty. Let me bring you on the podium in terms of the question that I'm going to ask, Brother Ratty. Bring up Brother Ratty there. I want Brother Ratty on the podium. So Brother Ratty, let me ask. The Prime Minister has been lingered with his statutory declaration. 2021 cannot be certified. 2022 cannot be certified. 2023 cannot be certified. 2024 have not been certified. So all 2021 to 2024 have not been certified. I'm asking you a question. Based on what we had shown here, can the DPP put her foot down in terms of giving the Prime Minister an ultimatum, or the DPP can step in as it relates to illicit enrichment and the Prime Minister cannot explain his income, assets, and liability? Isn't it that the prolong of this thing would hinge on the DPP's inaction? The DPP is the person in charge of the prosecutorial framework of the country. Give us some guidance on that, Brother Ratty.
The first thing is, I think the second document you put up mentioned the laws of Guyana.
Yes, we have because that is a mistake. We have the Jamaica one. It reads the same thing. So let me just put up that.
Fine.
You want me to put it up, or you want to just go ahead?
No. It's essentially the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me go back to the Mark Golding situation, and I'll say this. Mark Golding is a brilliant lawyer. Mark Golding is a smart man. He's proving himself to be an exceptional leader. But despite all that, we all make mistakes. And why do I say that? Mark Golding shouldn't answer them ticky people there. And we shouldn't even bother. Forgive the description, people. But when them come and ask him shouldn't say, well, it hasn't been. Listen to what they said Mark Golding's response was. They said his response was that they have some personnel challenges over there. And it's true, because they shifted up some people. But that on a Mark Golding answer, forgive them. His answer to give them is, listen, I file any questions you have, go to the Integrity Commission and deal with it. Next question. And move on. No argument with them people. Moving now to the question about the DPP. Yes, but here's the thing. You skip one level. The commission has a corruption prosecutor, and remember that prosecutor is the person that the government had an issue with, because I think them say that prosecutor went to school or is in a social setting with some politician or whatever. We need to ask the question first. What's going on over at the commission with the corruption prosecutor? Why isn't that person pursuing charges? If charges can be pursued, why aren't we seeing charges coming? That person taking the bull by the horn and say, okay, I'm going to press charges. Because here's what happened now. Traditionally, the DPP will keep out, has kept out this kind of situation. You're absolutely correct, though. The DPP, under the Constitution, can start a case, can finish a case, can take over a case, any criminal case. That's within the Constitution. You can't get around that. But what we've seen happen is this. Oh, and by the way, the corruption prosecutor is subordinate to the DPP. They can prosecute, but they can also seek her opinion. The commission can also seek an opinion. Like, for example, if the corruption prosecutor, and by the way, people, the corruption prosecutor is within the commission. It's not an outside agency. It is part and parcel of the Integrity Commission. Now, if that person decides not to prosecute, the commission itself can ask the DPP for an opinion. They can take the case to her and say, listen, we think that our prosecutors is making a mistake, and we want you to look at this and give us your opinion. Have they ever done that? I haven't seen anything written anywhere to suggest that they've done that. And it's my contention that they should have done it with the Westcon investigation. It's my contention that they should have done it with Market Me. It's my contention that they should have done it with FLA. It's my contention that they should have done it with a number of cases, but they just haven't done it. And yes, we can beat up on the DPP, but before we beat up on the DPP, we want to beat up on the Integrity Commission, on the corruption prosecutor over there, because they have a first-hand knowledge of everything that's going on. Because then you'd have to get the DPP to render an opinion, you'd have to move the file over, and then she would have to talk to people, get a briefing, go through it, all of that. Whereas with the corruption prosecutor, that's that person's job. That's that person's job. So the first question I would ask is, what's going on with this person? Because here's the thing. If the corruption prosecutor can lay charges, can bring charges, but then the DPP could step in and say, no, we're not going to prosecute, no, I'm taking this over and I'm dismissing this matter. Let it be on her head. But for some reason, the corruption prosecutor over there, and it's not just the one that we have now, because they just got rid of one the other day. It's the same thing. Nobody's prosecuting over there. And if you go back, and I challenge you people.
Ratty, hold on. Let me just beg your pardon in terms of me interject here. And one of the reasons why I'm interjecting is to the fact that, okay, there's a dark cloud hung over the Prime Minister going 4 years. Now, the corruption prosecutor would have the responsibility to say, okay, all right, we cannot have this dark cloud hung over the Prime Minister. So if there is no charges to be laid, wouldn't it be on the onus of the corruption prosecutor to make it clear that, okay, there's nothing to see here, and we have to remove this dark cloud over the Prime Minister? Now, so for the corruption prosecutor to be sitting there, we're not getting any form of true response from the corruption prosecutor. I am presuming what could be the problem, because if there was a situation where the Prime Minister, right, there's a nothing to see here as it relates to the phrase, wouldn't the corruption prosecutor make it known already to move the dark cloud over the Prime Minister? Just question.
Yeah, because the corruption prosecutor is sitting there. So the corruption prosecutor, you could even argue that it's that person's obligation to do that. Then if there's reason to remove the dark cloud, then remove the dark cloud. Don't have this man stained by it. But the thing is, we know that he's stained by it because we've seen the documentation. We've seen some of the documentation. And then now we have it over by FID, and you have Mr. Dennis Strong over there, who's a friend of his. And we haven't heard anything coming out of that. Plus, remember, the case is in court, and we haven't heard anything because, remember, they asked for a stay, they asked for this, they asked for that, and there's no movement. There's no movement on the case. But I agree with you when you say that, look, people, think about this. Should we have a leader whose statutory declarations have not been certified for a number of years? And by the way, Mystic, if you go back and you read that report, you know, the one put out by, I think, Craig Beresford, right?
Yeah.
That report basically says we've had problems with him since he entered in 1999.
100%.
They say we've had problems going all the way back with him. So, I mean, I wish we had a more dynamic and a more active corruption prosecutor who could say, listen, I don't care. I see the evidence and I'm going to move for prosecution. Let the DPP then decide to step in and take it over from me. Otherwise, I'm moving forward. I wish we could do that. And then that doesn't happen. I wish also we could have a DPP who say, you know what? The corruption prosecutor over there is not doing anything with all of these cases. So you know what? I'm going to step in and I'm going to take charge. But it's a fault on everybody's part. There's enough sin to go around. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody just kind of just wash their hands. And what happened now? It's in court. When was the last time you hear about a court hearing regarding this matter? When?
Exactly.
Look at even the Paul Buchanan case. Look at even that case. Look how long it's been sitting there waiting for the Supreme Court to grant permission so that you, Wildman, can take it now to the Court of Appeal, because they have already ruled that, you know, that there's nothing wrong with the election. So, Mystic, there is enough blame to go around on all of these people. And at the end of the day, the person that we should be really focused on, we can't focus on him because there are people just acting in a lackadaisical fashion. They're supposed to take action. Oh, and by the way, what is more important in terms of prioritization of a case than a case involving an election? I mean, this case is one that they should quickly say, no, we can't have a prime minister who is having this cloud over his head. We need to get this off, you know, finish this one, you know, done and dusted, one way or the other. And guess what? That case is still sitting in the Supreme Court, still waiting for Mr. Hugh Wildman is still waiting for them to grant leave so that he can take it to the Court of Appeal. And watch, nothing going to happen. Nothing going to happen. So it's sad. It's sad. But I understand your frustration with the DPP. But I would say it's not just the DPP; it's also the corruption prosecutor.
Okay, and the Commissioner of Police as well, because
Commissioner
the Constabulary Force under the Constitution, you understand, has powers to investigate, right, anyone. So that is where, you know,
including I might add, under the Integrity Commission Act of 2017, the JCF has the right to come in and investigate some of these cases that the IC is investigating. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you for that, Brother Ati. Sister Maria, remember we said, and I have to respect your time because you spoke to me earlier today, right? So if you want to make reference to this and then you hop out, right? Feel free to do so, Sister Maria. And we thank you for your time here. Yes, Sister Maria. So you can make this one if you want to hop out, you can hop out.
Mystic, she's not going to win.
I know. But the first part, you know, Rattigan like to say it must ignore ignorance, you know, because the opposition leader shouldn't answer them, and they are ticky-ticky. Fully done, back of the class, waste of time. You understand me? And they're so enveloped in partisanship that they cannot, they have missed the forest for the trees, you know? And there's a time when you have to be fair and balanced and just call a spade a spade. Exactly. Because if they're going to come, and here's the thing now, here's how they throw their own leader under the bus, because they're going after Mark Golding. He was gazetted. So what are you going to say about your leader? And you're right. Andrew Holness has been playing footsie with the truth since he set foot in the parliament. That man has been mired in corruption. Because before they came the Integrity Commission, it was the Contractor General, you know. And he has been dodging these people, giving information that is not 100%. The man has an aversion to truth, you know. So just asking him to show his expenditure became a problem. And he wanted the courts, because do you remember that he asked the courts to force the IC to certify him? No, just imagine for a minute if that was Mark Golding. They'd have burned down Jamaica. And the thing is, the Labour, they have a thing for fire, so they'd have burned down the country. if that was Mark Golding. You understand me? And the truth is, the Prime Minister has no shame, no shame.
No.
And the silence of civil society, private sector, and Jamaicans in general, even those who sell them wood for $5,000 on a 2-piece KFC, the silence is deafening. And people have just become, you know, when you look at young Jamaica, they're willfully ignorant, they have cognitive dissonance, they are morally bankrupt. And these are young people, like somebody said in the chat, you know, we have to work to edify and educate young people so that they can be the voice that stand against people in the young Jamaica. Because if these people in young Jamaica are going to become the leaders of tomorrow, Jamaica kind of dark, you know, dark, because they're not, you know, you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts. The facts don't lie.
Definitely.
And these people have a serious aversion to truth. And here's the thing, you know, technically it's 4 to 5 years since the Prime Minister has not been certified under the Integrity Commission. But it's over, as long as he has been in Parliament, the man is uncertified. As long as he has been a politician. The day he set foot in the Parliament, he was like, oh, me good. Me good, me go sit down right to say, and be a professional politician. You understand me? And another thing too, and you know, when people talk about Mark Golding and him a money man, Tappanaris, Andrew the biggest Tappanaris in the country, because all he does is walk and profile and pose like 666. But it's time for the people to stand up and be counted and let their voices be heard, because the truth of the matter is, you know, if he's allowed to continue like this, Jamaica's going to be worse than Haiti. And for the sake of ourselves, this generation and the generations to come, stand up and be counted. And to everyone in the chat, I have the video. Good night to everybody on the panel, Ratty, Mystic, Melting Pot, Miss Anne Marie. We shall speak. God bless.
Love you, Sister Maria.
Cool.
Blessings.
Yeah, man, cool.
All right, Freedom said, okay, Freedom said, let me just go through what Freedom said here. Calling cousin, did you see that new government in Hungary roll back salaries for politicians from the previous corrupted leader who the people voted out recently? Well, very, very good, Freedom, because I mean, you know, we are expecting that as well, right? You know, in the future, as it relates to, you know, when Mark Golding becomes Prime Minister. Don't worry about that, right? But leave that for now. But I see where you're going with that, Freedom. Now, Brother Melting Pot, the situation as we establish here, that the DPP, right, doesn't have to wait on an indictment, right? We set that clear, that the DPP can engage a process and journalists from 2021 to 2026 as we speak, right, have his statutory declaration uncertified. We need the DPP. We are calling upon the DPP to step in, set an ultimatum, right, and proceed as it relates to the possibility of criminal charges for Andrew Holness. We know that the DPP can do it, and as what Brother Rattigan said, the corruption prosecutor, right, need to set up or get up, because you can't have this thing lingering, a dark cloud over Andrew Holness' head, you understand, and no one decide to clear it, and Andrew Holness just keep on going into our parliament like it is a regular day of business. It is unacceptable what PSOJ has been allowing, what civil society has been allowing. Shame on civil society. Shame on the Commissioner of Police. Shame on the corruption prosecutor. Shame on the DPP who in charge of the prosecutorial powers. She at the helm. It is time now for Claudette Thompson to put down her foot and have Andrew Holness ejected from the process. What say you, Brother Melting Pot? Let us hear the hammer, the sledge.
Well, first I want to address this group who call themselves Young Jamaicans. I think they should be rebranded as not Jamaicans. When we look at them trying to create a headline or to write a headline, it begs us to believe where they're going with this, corruption, because we all know who they should be focusing on. But we are seeing them trying to deflect and trying to project Mark Walden now as a, man who cannot be certified, when that is not the truth. Sir Mark Jefferson Golden has been certified ever since he becomes a political representative from 2017. But I can tell every Jamaican that Andrew Wallace has not been certified from 1998. I keep saying it. Justice Side said from 1999. But I go a year further back. And we know that to be a fact. Yeah, because Andrew did not mention the 47 million when come into politics with. So that there lies the case. Yeah, as him cannot be certified from far back as 1998. Now, let us look at the problem in Jamaica. Yeah, and I know Jamaica have a systemic problem. Yeah, within the justice system that has become systematic now, where everyone participates within the system of corruption. Yeah, so we are looking at Andrew Wallace, yeah, who cannot be certified, yeah, since him coming to politics. But in recent time, when the spotlight has been shining on him, when it become public knowledge that he has not been certified, yeah, statutory declaration in terms of income, asset, and liability. Yeah, we know that to be a fact. But is anyone doing anything about it? Even when we see documents that clearly outline that the DPP can, within her powers, initiate, yeah, the progress of investigation. No, we don't see that. Because we know the DPP, the previous one, and the now DPP, is compromised and is participating within Andrew Walden's scheme of corruption. They have been given increase in salary to work in that regard. We know the commissioner have the power as well to arrest, but he won't do it because he's an handpicked individual by the said Andrew Wallace who is under investigation. So the whole systemic problem that we have in Jamaica is lack of transparency and lack of accountability. And everyone is now buying into that systemic problem. And, it has now become the norm. So we are looking at justice not being executed. Yeah, where justice should be executed. Yeah. And this is why in front of these people you have over 3,000 backlogging cases. Yeah. Cases of importance. Yeah, as it relates to a lot of corruption elements. Yeah, that has been swept under the carpet. So who are these people protecting? It's the GLP hierarchies and it's conglomerate. That's where the system now finds itself offering protection to the Jamaica Labour Party and its conglomerate. Anything to do with the People's National Party, you get swift justice. Swift justice. Just look at the gun-related charge as it relates to members from both sides, having issue with their license firearm. The Jamaica Labour Party members were, left untouched and unscathed, while the People's National Party personnel were charged. So it shows you where the problem lies, you know. It shows you. And I mean, if we look back at St. Kitts DPP, you see how that DPP operates. And that's how a DPP should operate.
Exactly.
Because transparency, accountability, and non-existence of corruption exists in St. Kitts. In Jamaica, it's the other way around. Andrew Wallace has splashed the cash to make sure know that him remain the guy who can operate along the line of corruption, but been saved by the justice system. So that's where the problem lies. The whole justice system need a revamp. A lot of these people, they are so-called individual masquerading in the justice system. They don't have the nuance. They don't have the scope and the capability to work independently. I don't know what is the fear factor, but there's something radically wrong in Jamaica as it relates to the current scheme of affairs. Too much power within the hands of this corrupted crime minister. And it is not a rocket science, you know. Everybody can see. Remember the man go to all the integrity commission and tell him to strike out certain things, you know, that affect him. As it relates to him statutory declaration. So we have a problem that we have an uncertified guy who should not be the prime minister of the country, but still retain that post. And, you know, it's a shame and it's an indictment on the system in Jamaica. Remember, the entire world knows him steal the last general election. And there is, you know, a motion between him now and Paul Buchanan as it relates to, you know, the true status of that seat within the constituency. But what you see? You see the justice system sleeping. I mean, this thing should have gotten traction long time and a move towards a conclusion. But no response. The same thing with Royal Reid. No response. And we have many more cases. That is just there line in 513. So there lies a problem. The justice system need a revamp. If we had, you know, people of accountability, who pride themselves within the profession, Andrew couldn't be there. Andrew wouldn't be there at this point in time. But we have everybody now wrapped in the file paper of corruption, being protected, in a lot of ways. Because these people, you know, that working for Andrew Wallace, you know, they get the assurance, you know, that they are also untouchable within the society. They have protection. Don't think that Andrew just leave them out there like that. Him offer them protection both in salary and within security terms. So these people will work on his behalf. These people will make sure know that this guy who has opened the eyes to high salary remain unscathed. And so Jamaican and a whole now, they have to be the vice to get this lazy justice system up and running. They have to call a spade a spade. They have to recognize that the country is now left, you know, wide open to corruption because there is no justice system to hold anyone accountable and charge them and put them away. So it's just a free range and they keep playing every day. Corruption, the order of the day. And I yield back the floor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we come to the end of our conversation for tonight. And I just want to ask Brother Rattigan if he has any final words, right, before closing. Anything that you want to say, Brother Rattigan? Right,
Yeah.
Brother Rattigan there.
Yes, yes. A pleasure to return. It's been a while. Feels like months, but
Thank
actually
you.
3 weeks. Yeah, but I missed the program.
Thank you.
People tune in tomorrow night, and reason I'm telling you this is because we're gonna spend some time talking about the upcoming Global Jamaica Diaspora Council biannual conference that will be held in Jamaica starting this Sunday, and we are going to promote and produce our own conference at night. So you don't have to spend big money for airline ticket, hotel, food, this, that entry. No. We only require small investment from you, an investment of your time. Just 3 hours a night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. And we're going to be dealing with topics that we don't think they're going to be dealing with. They're going to be talking about investments, how to make money off the backs of Jamaican people, you know, modern day slavery. That's what they're going to be talking about. This Global Jamaica Diaspora Council was set up for basically 2 purposes. One is to help diaspora members prosper in the country where they and their descendants live. That's the first one. And the second one is to leverage that prosperity to help in the national development of Jamaica. Those are the 2 main things they were created for. But they have abandoned the first one. And now we find that it is now, they say it's a consultative body to the government of Jamaica, and it's run by the government of Jamaica. And we don't believe that should be the case. We believe that this could be a great organization. It should be registered, and diaspora members should support it. And it should have a relationship with the government, but it should be a partnership relationship. It shouldn't be a hierarchical relationship where the government sits on top and then dictates what should be done, and then them give you homework and then you run around and do it. That should not be the case. And when we look at the topics that they're planning to discuss in Jamaica, we don't see anything about helping people in the diaspora, people who have mental health problems, physical problems, people have a problem with homelessness, people who have immigration issues, people who have criminal issues. We don't see them talking about helping those people at all. We're not saying we shouldn't help Jamaicans in Jamaica. We're not talking about helping the Jamaican government, no. We're helping the people through the government. But we don't hear them talking about the people. It's almost as if they're forgotten about the diaspora, the people here. So this conference coming up on Sunday, I can tell you that it was not designed for most of us. It was not designed for most of us because most of us, we just couldn't afford to attend this conference because the hotel rooms now are like, what, $300, $400, $500 a day. Plus you have to pay for your airline ticket. Plus you have to pay to enter. Them have an entrance fee, right? And then they give you 5 reasons. 2 years ago, they gave you 10 reasons to come to the conference. The first reason, their first reason, come because it's in Montego Bay. That sounds like a good reason to go to a conference. Just come because you could have gone visit your family and go Montego Bay. You never forgot the conference, visit your family. And they gave 10 reasons, and they were silly reasons. Like one of them was come to eat jerk chicken and jerk pork. Give laugh. But it's true. I have the flyer. They have the flyer. One of them was come and take a tour around the country. This time they come now and they come with 5 reasons. And the 5 reasons pretty much the same part of the 10 that they put up 2 years ago. And what we did was we said to them, please give us your flyer, put out the flyer with the schedule so that we can, because we said, look, we want to show the people that we're one Jamaica. You do your conference in the day, we do ours at night. And exactly. We what you did. And what we did was 2 years ago, they put out their flyer and then put out the schedule. And we did our flyer, and our flyer looked pretty much like this, because we said we are one. And the topics that they discuss in the daytime, we discuss at night. They didn't like that idea. They didn't like it because in the aftermath, people were complaining, even saying to them, hey, we never know a 2 conference and have, man, one in the day and one in the night. And them said, no, I don't board up in New York. I tried, because problems have a different conference. So this year, guess what I'm domestic? They don't put out a promo.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see the flyer. We see some little bits and pieces here.
Come on, hide for your ratty.
But so what we did was we come up with we have a flyer. I sent it to you.
Yes.
We have a promo. So we're going to promote that now between now and Sunday. And then Sunday we want to start it by the panel will be looking at the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. What is its purpose? What's the reach, the extent, the length and breadth of this organization? Should it really focus on helping the diaspora prosper as it says, or should it continue to be a consultative body to the government of Jamaica? We don't believe that it should be we're not saying it shouldn't be a consultative body, but we're saying that it should focus on the needs and the desires and the hopes and the aspirations of the people in the diaspora, because that's why it's named diaspora. And one last thing, they tell you that, oh, the people, you will hear people say it's a movement. Don't make them tell you this nonsense. Ask them, what does it mean to be a movement? Tell them it should be a 501c3 non-profit organization. It should be registered, because I've never heard of a movement where you ask people all over the world for vote. Never heard of a movement. Leaders emerge from a movement. Leaders emerge. They're not elected from a movement. They're elected from an organization. But when you ask them, is it an organization or a movement? They will always tell you, it's a movement. You know why they can't say it's an organization? Because the next question is, why haven't you registered it as an organization? And the reason why they can't register it is because 3 out of the 4 people are Jamaican government officials. You can't have a 501c3 with foreign government officials running the thing. And that's why they will forever keep it. And so anybody out there now can use the name, and can use the logo. Them can't stop you. Cannot stop you, because it's not registered by them anywhere. So people, tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk a whole heap of things. Some of the topics we touched tonight, and we're going to touch a little bit on FLA and some other things. But you our people, you will chart the course of the discussion. So we're going to open the phone line. The system is not working properly, but call anyway, because we can just do the whole old-fashioned thing. And then we will have a fruitful discussion, and then we'll look forward to Saturday and Sunday. So thanks for having me. Pleasure being here.
There you go. As it relates to what Brother Rattigan said. Right, let me just hand over to Wifey for Wifey to close us out. Wifey.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for making it an interactive discussion. Thank you to the panel for their insightfulness. And I want to say blessings, have a wonderful night, and safe travel on the ground until next time.
All right, blessings. All right, love a cheer, Pot. Love a cheer, love a cheer. We see it, love a cheer. All right. Blessings.
I know why you come to me with that foolishness, You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.